much for choosing us today. We really much appreciate. We're just going to give a few minutes for others to join. That was fast, from 70 to 112. Oh, it's my eyes, but keep inviting people. Tell your colleagues that we have started. We are not going to start without them, so we'll give them a few minutes for them to join. Today, we are going to be talking about adaptation. As we wait for a couple of minutes for others to join, just tell us what adaptation is in one word. What do you understand by the word adaptation in one word? Put it in the chat box, your name, your country you're representing, and your answer. Good afternoon, Adejo. Hope you're good. So we have Lagos in the house. I will not call upon your country if you don't put it in the chat box. So hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. I see Cameroon, Pakistan, amazing. Tanzania, Rwanda, Zimbabwe is represented, Uganda. UK, Somalia. Thank you so much for joining us. Madagascar, thank you. India, Eswatini, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be starting shortly. Okay, I think we can start now. I can see it's almost a full house, but I'm sure we can start now. So good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're joining us from. We are just happy that you're here with us today. So forget about the time zones. Let's just get to discuss what is at hand. Today, our topic is entitled Climate Adaptation and Resilience. We are going to be looking at youth initiatives as far as climate change adaptation and resilience is concerned. And we have experts in the house. It doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter whether you're a young person, but the fact that you have been working in that particular field for a long time, you deserve to be called an expert in your own right. So today we have experts who will be breaking this topic down for us to understand what exactly is climate change adaptation. What does innovation has to do with climate change adaptation? What is climate resilience? And this program is brought to you by Youth for Climate. In case you do not know what Youth for Climate is, this is a global initiative called by the government of Italy and UNDP, which stands for United Nations Development Program. I know most of you are probably tired of hearing this, but we cannot assume that everyone knows what Youth for Climate is. So we have to refresh your memories so that you understand the objectives of Youth for Climate and what exactly this initiative is about. So this initiative is co-shaped with youth and other strategic partners. It supports the implementation of youth-led and youth-inclusive solutions to environment and climate challenges, both financially and through capacity development. So a few months back, the call for solutions was sent out. Most of you applied. I've been seeing so many posts on my Instagram timeline and also on LinkedIn, people who are saying, I'm happy to be a Youth for Climate awardee. Congratulations. And in case you might have applied and you didn't get it this time, do not worry. There are so many opportunities for you to improve your proposal, and this is the right platform. Keep on trying. Next year, another call will be open. Keep on trying until you get it. We don't give up. So I just want to thank you all for joining us today. I am so happy. I don't know about you, but there's no reason for me to be sad because you're all here joining us to discuss this amazing session. Before we start, we are going to get a poll on our screens so that we actually, get engaged in the conversation. We just do not want you to be listeners, but we also want to hear from you what you think about climate resilience and climate adaptation. So over to you. Oh, it's already on my screen. The question is, what aspect of climate resilience do you think should be prioritized the most? Number one, infrastructure improvements. This include flood barriers, green buildings. Number two, education and awareness. Number three, sustainable agriculture and food security. Number four, renewable energy adoption. So please just click one. I'll repeat the question again. What aspect of climate resilience do you think should be prioritized the most? So I will give you guys a few minutes, then we will end the poll. Okay, it says, that's me from my end. It says host and panelist cannot vote. I'm not so sure if this is a technical error, but please let me know through the chat if you can vote. That's important for us. Let us know if you can vote. Yes, people cannot vote, but it's okay. Please put your answers in the chat box. I can see people putting C. I assume C is sustainable agriculture, B is okay. So we'll use A, B, C, and D. A, infrastructure improvements. B, education and awareness. C, sustainable agriculture and food security. D, renewable energy. Thank you. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Apologies for the technical error. We will try to fix it next time. Thank you so much. Whilst you're still responding, also just to let you know that translation is available. Please, you need to click somewhere. You need to click where it says languages, and then you can translate it to your language of preference. Okay, the poll is now working. I'll just give it another minute since we were experiencing some technical challenges. Okay, education and awareness seem to be leading with 41%, followed by sustainable agriculture and food security and renewable energy adoption. Finally, last but not least, infrastructure improvement, flood barriers, and green buildings. Thank you so much for your participation. We really much appreciate your time and participation. Now moving on to the next program, we are going to hear from the experts as mentioned. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you so much to those who took part on the discussion that was going on the Youth for Climate platform. I will get into detail about the questions that we asked after we hear from Monica and Shah. So we would want to welcome Monica, who is the Global Program Manager for UNDP Adaptation Fund Climate Innovation Accelerator. Monica is currently joining us, and I think it should be midnight from her end, and we just want to thank her for taking time to be with us and engaging with us in this amazing conversation. Hailing from Colombia, currently serves as the Global Program Manager for the UNDP Adaptation Fund Climate Innovation Accelerator. Under her leadership, AFCIA has facilitated 44 micro and small grants across 33 countries, empowering locally led organizations to implement innovation solutions aimed at bolstering resilience in vulnerable communities, operating within the Adaptation Innovation Marketplace, abbreviations AIM. The program prioritizes civil society, non-governmental organizations, and forward-thinking individuals. I would love to believe, like all of you who have joined us today, particularly, this is the most interesting part, particularly women and youth. So if you're here, this is the right place, because Monica is going to break it down for us, because this is the area of expertise. She has accumulated 15 years of experience in environmental projects, and earlier in her career, she contributed to the implementation of sustainable consumption and production projects with enterprises and local authorities in Colombia. I will not say more about Monica. I'm sure you've heard it for yourself, that she has the experience. She has worked with women. She has worked with youth. She has empowered also CSOs and non-governmental organizations. So I'll just hand it over to Monica to break it down for us. Monica, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate the time that you have taken to be with us today.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, and I'm really delighted to be part of this webinar, even though it's late here in Bangkok. I really enjoy this part of my work, especially when I have to engage with youth. Just to mention something short, I recently gave to my older son that is 6 years old, Youth for Climate Activist book. So I hope he is very inspired from many of these, extraordinary work that we're gonna hear today, and I hope that once he grows up, he's pretty much aligned with the work that you are doing, being climate activists in this world. So. Thank you so much as well for that introduction. Maybe I'll just share a bit my screen to tell you a bit about our work right now as an introduction. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes? Okay, perfect. So I was tasked to talk in 5 minutes, a little insights around our work in UNDP with resilience, innovation, and local action. Obviously, UNDP is a huge organization. There are many areas of work, but we have a very strong climate change adaptation agenda. This particular program that I'm managing is focusing in 3 specific areas. One is the local empowerment. So as Elizabeth mentioned, under this program, we are giving and working with NGOs and CSOs that are implementing different tools, business models, or initiatives that build resilience with the community, led by the communities, and specifically with the most vulnerable groups, women, youth, people with disabilities, indigenous people. So that's our specific focus. The second big angle is the resilience that these initiatives are building. So we understand resilience not only from the environmental perspective in terms of, for example, improving the soil quality so that the water is better kept in the soil and we can enhance productivity or enhance the conservation of species, but also resilience is diversifying the livelihoods, is generating different streams of revenue, and basically having different baskets where you put your eggs, especially when the climate shocks arise and your productivity in your plot suddenly is completely lost. And then the other angle that we work is the investment angle, because as we are working with NGOs and CSOs, it is important for us that they strengthen their business models and their sustainability strategies, their financial strategies, because we know that every time more and more the grants are becoming more scarce. So we need to start thinking about different approaches, for example, blended finance approaches and ways in which we can partner with the private sector to make our initiatives more sustainable and reach more people that are in need. So this is just a snapshot of the many different programs and initiatives that UNDP has. Not all of them are specifically focused on climate change adaptation, but I want to mention that UNDP tries to target different needs in terms of ideation of ideas, incubation of ideas, acceleration, and scaling up. Maybe I would like to mention or highlight one important program that is called the Small Grants Program, which is available in pretty much all the countries where UNDP has operations, that gives small grants to small organizations that have an idea, that are working in different sustainability initiatives. We are focusing a bit more in the acceleration part of these initiatives. So we are working with these NGOs and CSOs that have been doing for a while, for a few years what they do, but we focus pretty much in how to scale these initiatives or replicate them. And if the idea is not to scale them, at least to strengthen their financial sustainability in the long run. This initiative is anchored under a flagship initiative launched by Akim Steiner, that is our administrator in 2021, that is called Adaptation Innovation Marketplace. I was requested to give some links and resources, so you will see some of the links of the websites that I invite you to check and review. Under this Adaptation Innovation Marketplace, we currently have two programs. One is the AFCIA program that I manage, and the other one is another Jeff project that is focusing on resilience, peace, and stability, and also gives small grants to organizations that work in this context. So the idea with AIM is to be a platform designed to be a flexible mechanism to channel direct finance to local actors on climate change adaptation. And the idea is to continue as UNDP getting additional resources from different stakeholders and anchoring that under the Adaptation Innovation Marketplace. So as one of the funding windows, we have the AFCIA program. This AFCIA program is funded receives funds from the Adaptation Fund and from the European Union, but there are other organizations from the United Nations that are also implementing the AFCIA program. So UNDP is one of the AFCIA implementers, but UNEP, WFP, and UNIDO are also implementing this program, and they have different grants or different type of different type of work and different type of models in their AFCIA program. For example, UNIDO works more with SMEs, WFP with SMEs and NGOs, UNDP works more with NGOs and CSOs, and UNEP is mainly working with the government. The overall objective of AFCIA is to support the development, scaling, diffusion, and evidence building of locally led innovative adaptation practices, tools, and technologies. This is just a snapshot of our program. Currently, we have 44 grantees spanning 33 different countries. And I'm not going to go a lot into detail, but I would like to highlight that most of the innovative adaptation solutions perhaps revolve around nature-based solutions, food security, that I actually wanted to vote for that option in the poll. Some of them are about disaster risk reduction or are about the urban adaptation. Many of them are in the phase of scaling or replicating, or are a few of them are also testing a new technology and are using this grant to give the next step. Actually, Shah, that is currently today with us, is one of the AFCIA grantees, and we will hear his journey, not only with AFCIA, but the overall journey of Footsteps Bangladesh. Just to close, this is just a map of where we have the different grantees of UNDP AFCIA. I just want to give a few examples. They are all very, very innovative. They are doing completely different things. We have, for example, some of them that are working with sustainable bioclimatic constructions that are made with bricks with the the local available materials in the Sahel. We also have an accelerator in Colombia that supports SMEs, and we have, for example, another one in Congo that is working with reforestation and the production of edible insects. So this type of innovations is what we want to capture, accelerate, and disseminate around the world. Last but not least, I want to share with you some resources that could be useful for you if you want to learn more about either green entrepreneurship or understanding how is the resilience thinking, for example. All of these are UN-led courses and trainings that I invite you to check. And that's it. Thank you so much. Over to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Monica, for sharing that rich information with us. I'm sure we can all agree that you have taken your time to put all this information together. So in case you are joining, please, this is the right platform to ask any questions to experts like Monica and understand more. So next, I'm going to call upon Shah. He is an award-winning environmentalist and social entrepreneur currently leading Footsteps Bangladesh. I'm sure Monica highlighted that he is also one of the awardees. A next generation organization which designs social ventures and programs to address extreme poverty challenges in marginalized communities, currently empowering over 600,000 people across Bangladesh. Shah's work focuses on building local innovation and enhancing grassroots action, for which he has received the Diana Award, Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Award, Global Citizen Youth Leaders Award, and also has been listed on Forbes 30 under 30. We are so honored to have Shah in the house. He just completed his degree on environmental economics and policy from Pennsylvania State University in 2018, and was also mentored on climate leadership by former US Vice President Al Gore in 2013. Shah, we are so honored to have you. The platform is yours.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, and it's a pleasure to be here. So you mentioned most of the gist about my organization, the type of work we do, as well as the impact we have on ground. I basically want to share the story of a specific climate innovation, the journey of it, and how we turned an idea into reality. So this was back in 2018. We were in field in northern Bangladesh addressing a flood crisis. And there were two things that I noticed during the flood. Number one was during the aid distribution process, there were so many plastic water bottles being deployed as an emergency aid response, which would end up in like landfills or in the river bodies later on. So plastic pollution became a big issue during aid deployment itself for emergency work. Second thing I realized was flood itself is considered as a disaster, but seeing so much water around us, we realized, what if we could convert this flood water into drinking water and supply it across our communities? So the idea of converting floodwater came into our heads back in 2018, and we spent the next 3 years working on this idea. How can we make this a reality? So what we did was we designed a manual portable water filter, which you could carry by hand or carry as a backpack, which could convert flood water into drinking water itself. So, and then when we decided that, okay, this is a device that we're going to build, who do we deploy it on ground with? Who would be the best actors or the best users of it? We found out that rural women would be the best people to be able to mobilize a device like this on ground and become water entrepreneurs and disaster respondents, and in turn also build their status within their communities as climate heroes who are converting floodwater into drinking water and supplying it within their communities. So the first 3 years were honestly a struggle because as society, we tend to be very reactive rather than proactive, meaning that When a disaster strikes, that's when we start taking action. But when we start talking about innovative ideas, even before a disaster strikes, a lot of people don't take us seriously. So it took us 3 years to actually, like, collect up on funds, pulling funds from like different sources, like as minimum as $50, $100, and then building up a fund to build our first prototype. So in 2021, we implemented the first 9 devices on ground in the north, and we found some great response from it. But then we also went back into R&D because as this was our first product, it still had a lot of glitches, right? So what we decided was that when we were using the manual devices, it is not possible to convert a large amount of water into drinking water just by a manual process. So we started thinking about how do we make it an automated process. The idea was like to convert around 10,000, 15,000, or 20,000 liters at a go with just a push of a button. So we were working on this when in 2022, in mid-July, the worst flooding in Bangladesh's history actually hit the northeastern part of Bangladesh. So during that flood crisis, because we implemented the pilot on ground, a lot of organizations, especially organizations such as ActionAid, CARE, Practical Action, they started reaching out to us that whether we had this device to deploy. So I still remember that within a span of 2 weeks, we somehow built 26 of these devices and supplied it to these nonprofits to support their aid work on ground, which was able to convert over 400,000 liters of flood water into drinking water using 26 of these devices and 26 women entrepreneurs who were facilitating these devices as well. But one thing we struggled with was that everybody wanted the final product, right? But we also needed time, resources, as well as funds to be able to work on the final product itself, which a lot of people did not want to support. That's when we found out about the AFCIA program and we applied for it. And we're actually very grateful to people like Monica, as well as the entire AFCIA team who gave us this grant to basically work on a long-term pilot, testing, not only improving the devices, but also working with around 50 women in improving their technical capacity in using these devices, as well as conducting awareness on ground on such an extent to which people also understood that a product like this can be available in the market. See, in the context of Bangladesh, water filters are a luxury. They only exist in urban communities such as the capital city or the port city. But when you go into the rural spaces, most people drink water from traditional sources, like from tube wells or from pond sand filtration systems. So what happens is when we did the demo of the device in front of like community awareness programs, it was almost like magic from them. How can you convert the water from my pond into the water that I could drink? So we've been working on this for the last several months since last year through with AFCIA's support. And right now it actually gives us, we're very excited to say that by the end of the term of the program, we are set to release the Dreamwater portable filter into the market by January 2025. And this wouldn't have been possible without the support of AFCIA, without the support of people like Monica, who have helped us achieve something where we turned an almost unrealistic idea into a groundbreaking reality, which will build resilience of not only communities against climate change, but also water entrepreneurship, as well as addressing extreme poverty challenges. So thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please let me know in the session later on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shah, for sharing your story. A round of applause for him. People always say, I'm not a motivational speaker, by the way, so this is just a general thing that I hear, that whenever there is a challenge or whenever there is a problem, that is an opportunity, which is exactly what he did. I am very proud of you. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Hopefully it's going to motivate someone who is contemplating on an idea and hesitating to start. We appreciate your time, and I just like that you were talking about the use of technology in adaptation, which brings me back to what I was about to say concerning the discussion that was happening on the Youth for Climate platform. So thank you so much to everyone who managed to join that discussion, which was quite insightful. And one of our questions was looking at how can technology and innovation help us adapt to the effects of climate change. I'm sure Shah tackled this well. There are so many things that technology can do, and you guys, you shared a lot of different initiatives. I was actually learning. I always learn each and every day when we have this discussion. So it's good to participate. You never know whom you are adding value to. And then the other question was, what steps can individuals take to make their communities more resilient to climate change? And we had a response from Marujo, who was tackling the question on what role do youth play in advocating for climate resilience in their communities. And Marujo says youth can play a key role by raising awareness among your peers and community members about climate change issues and sustainable practices. Youth can also initiate local projects such as training programs on climate adaptation or agroforestry projects. I'm sure Shah's example and the other examples that you hear will be a testimony that young people have a role to play. Then we have Desire from Burundi, who shared a case study, and Desire said, in our indigenous community in Burundi, we use conservation agriculture principles to adapt to climate change. These principles include minimum soil disturbance, maximal soil cover mulching, crop rotations, and excellent management. We also produce organic fertilizers such as compost, vermicompost, tea, chicken manure, soup, and banana peel tea instead of using synthetic fertilizers, which has become scarce in our country. I will not say all the comments. That's your job, to go on the Youth for Climate platform and add your comments if you feel, or read what others have already written. But I just want to say thank you for participating, much appreciate, and please do not take these discussions for granted. Now, before we move on to our panelists, I'm going to ask if another poll can be shared on our screens. Yes, the second poll is showing. I'm not so sure if I'm able to vote. It's saying I can't vote, but I'll read out the question. How confident do you feel that local communities can effectively adapt to the impacts of climate change? A, very confident. B, somewhat confident. C, no confidence. D, unsure. So please let me know, how confident do you feel that local communities can effectively adapt to the impacts of climate change? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of A's. Is this the situation on the ground? I'm seeing a lot of A's. Okay, A's, people are very confident actually. B, I'm seeing B. Someone is saying somewhat confident based on experience. People are responding based on experience. Thank you so much. Once the results are out, I will share with you all. Can you guys see the results on the screen? I can see them at least from my end, but most of you voted A. You are all very confident that your communities can adapt to the impacts of climate change. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same. From my country, we were hit by Cyclone Idai that was back in 2019, and up to now, those communities haven't yet recovered. So yeah, it's quite sad. Then followed by 38%, somewhat confident, then not confident, 14%, unsure, 6%. Thank you so much all for participating. We really much appreciate. Now, moving on, to our panelists today. I have the honor of introducing you to amazing Youth for Climate awardees who are currently implementing some projects. Some of them haven't yet implemented. They are in the process of implementing, but I'm sure they cannot wait to tell you their stories. So to start, we have Muna. Muna's work is centered on building effective strategic partnership that advance climate action and gender justice through initiatives and projects related to sustainable agriculture, water management, renewable energy, and other environmental priorities. It pursues this work both at the local and national level in Yemen, as well as across the MENA region. She is a member of the Women and Gender Constituency. I believe that should be Yungo, and also some other platforms that she is also part of. As mentioned, Muna is from Yemen. And Muna, my question to you will be, your proposal involves setting up domestic greenhouses which drip irrigation systems to enhance community resilience by addressing food insecurity in Yemen. Why in particular did you choose this project? Over to you, Muna, if you are there.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. And I want to make sure if you hear me, is my voice clear? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Elizabeth, and thank you for the Youth for Climate for doing all these webinars to showcase the work of the youth all around the world. Well, my name is Muna Alhammadi and I am from Yemen. I am one of the awardees of the Youth for Climate 2023. My project was about greenhouses, small greenhouses that are measuring 4 multiply 4 meters, and they include drip irrigation systems, and we provide also solar systems to facilitate for the people to get water from the wells, and also it has a part of training and raising awareness. Well, I will try to answer your question by dividing it to 3 parts. The first part, it's why I choose this project. It's to focus more on agriculture and food security, which is the first part of the question. I will talk a little bit about Yemen. Yemen is a country that faced a lot of wars and conflicts, and the climate change has exacerbated the situation in Yemen. Food security and poverty are increasing in an incredible way, and most of the population in Yemen rely on agriculture. So 50% of the population rely on agriculture. Because of climate change, floods, heavy rains, water scarcity, drought, extreme weather, either very cold weather or very hot weathers, led to most of the farmers, they started to try to find other jobs, and we lose a lot of agricultural land. In the district or the governorate where we choose to do our project, farmers there, they can't anymore cultivate their crops because of the very cold weather. So we try to make small greenhouses for those poor farmers, so that they can control the weather inside the greenhouse. They will have a control on the light, the humidity, the weather inside the greenhouse, so they will be able to cultivate different type of diversity of crops and different type of fruit and vegetables. As I said, yes, this will allow to produce different type of fruits and vegetables all around the year, not only in some seasons like the traditional agriculture way. And these farmers, they will start to meet their basic needs and with their families, of course, and they will start to think about how they can sell the amount that they don't need it, and they start to enhance their economical situation also. The second part of the question, why we also choose this project, because there is a water scarcity in Yemen. And greenhouses, they optimize the amount of water inside the greenhouse. So we designed this project to also provide the farmers with solar energy that allow them to take water from the wheels and connect it to their irrigation system inside the greenhouses, which will be a good source of water, and with optimizing the consumption of water. The good thing also about this project is that it can help women, and also it involve women in the implementation of this project, because women from their house, they can cultivate and they can take care of the greenhouses and also the crops without going for far places to do so for the traditional land. The traditional agriculture, especially in the culture of Yemen, it's a little bit hard for women to do so. The third thing that will answer the question, it's about climate awareness. We wanted to make this part of the project about raising the awareness of the affected population, how they understand the climate change, and how to improve their knowledge about climate change, so they can start to adapt and take new tips about resilience with climate change. Especially this training will focus also about smart agricultural practices, which will allow them to start practice good practices that allow them to adapt and be more resilient to climate change. Thank you very much, and if there's any other question, I will answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Muna, and wishing you all the best in the implementation phase, and you are doing an amazing job championing for young people and also women. We really much appreciate. Again, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure those with questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. Now, our next speaker is going to be Simbarashe Gwenzi, who is from Zimbabwe, from Youth Economic Capital. He is an economist, entrepreneur, and CEO of YEC Fund, a microfinance institution in Zimbabwe. He founded SocialPay, a fintech platform providing credit and energy access to informal sectors, SMEs, through a pay-as-you-go solution. Simbarashe holds an economic degree from the University of Zimbabwe and is an associate member of the Institute of Risk Management South Africa. He has led impactful projects like the Green Energy Accelerator Zimbabwe, improving energy access in other communities. He has also managed to partner with other organizations and major players like Econet Wireless to drive financial inclusion. We cannot wait to hear from Simbarashe so that he can share with us about his initiative, and it would be good to also highlight to us how your project has strengthened the resilience of communities in Zimbabwe, and can it be expanded in other parts of Zimbabwe? Over to you, Simbarashe.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth, and thank you for the YFC team for giving me this opportunity and platform. I do not take it for granted. So, as introduced by Elizabeth, at Youth Economic Capital, or YEC Fund, we have been promoting what is called the Green Energy Accelerator, which we were fortunate to have the support of Youth for Climate in giving us funds to help promote and grow it in Zimbabwe. Our project, the Green Energy Accelerator, comes with several components in it. We provide solar energy kiosks, which are 40-foot containers, which are then split into 4 shops. And then those 40-foot containers have a 5 kVA solar energy system that is installed there that allows small businesses, for example, those that are into sewing, into small service provision like hairdressing and the likes, to be able to operate in those spaces. But beyond that, we realize that it's not just occupying the space and having that energy access that is enough for them to have that impact. What they can also benefit from as well is the capacity building for them to be efficient in how they manage their small businesses. For example, learning business literacy skills that provide them with an understanding on how to maintain their records, how to manage their finances, and also how to manage credit if they take credit. We realize that in them operating in these off-grid communities, and more specifically, we were targeting an area called Karoi and also Gwanda. We realized that without having equipment that's low voltage that will be able to catalyze their businesses, they would not be able to have the full benefit of occupying these kiosks. So we provided a microfund for them where they borrowed funds for them to have highly energy efficient appliances, electrical appliances that help to boost their businesses. For example, there are people who are into setting up small butcheries. We managed to procure for them freezers for them to use, which are energy efficient, and they've been able to use those appliances productively as well. We trained about 50 entrepreneurs in Karoi and Gwanda, and 74% of those participants were women, and of the total number that was trained, 80% were youth. And this training equipped them with several skills that helped them manage and grow their energy-dependent businesses, creating more sustainable economic foundations and improving their resilience to climate-related shocks. To get an understanding of these locations that we were in, they're not just locations that are off-grid, they are also locations that are heavily hit by the effects of climate change. They are very arid areas, very dry, and now we're going through an El Nino. They are not able to have, they'll bear the worst of the brunt when it comes to receiving low or zero rainfall. So through these kiosks, we've managed to then set up other connections from the solar systems to power communal pumps within the community, because initially we just thought, let's just work with the entrepreneurs who are occupying the kiosks, but other secondary support and impact has come out of the project, with people just connecting more connections to the kiosks, benefiting from the excess power generated within the kiosk to then support small community gardens within the place as well, to support climate smart irrigation. So these solar energy kiosks, fortunately, because of the finance we were given by Youth for Climate, we're able to situate and site them, and also pay some of the regulatory fees that were required for us to place them in these particular locations. And they've become vital hubs for local enterprises, enabling them to operate more efficiently and consistently, even in the face of energy shortages. We're also fortunate that another component of our Green Energy Accelerator was providing technical skills and local ownership to ensure that the long-term sustainability of these kiosks. We managed to train 10 young people to become solar technicians, so that if there is any breakdown, they are the ones who come into the place and they're able to provide that support and fix any issues that might be there. And in essence, we managed to then create 10 new green jobs in the process, and they'll be helping to manage and repair and maintain the kiosks. And in seeing how the impact has been in the whole community, you must understand the total number of households that are now benefiting from just these kiosks that we've put in these locations. There are about 3,000 households who had to commute to the nearest town, which is about 40, 50 kilometers away, to be able to access just services like just getting a haircut. Imagine that distance just to go and get a haircut. It's just too much. So now they're benefiting from some of these services within their community without having to travel long distances to go and get it. So we realized that since our kiosks and our energy solutions that we provide and the training are modular, we're able to scale them in different parts and locations within the country. We can just come, do the whole setup, whole turnkey process, engage the communities, provide the capacity building, and provide the empowerment that is required in these communities. You might see on the internet when you're researching that we have a high level of energy access as a country, going up to 61%, but you must understand that our grid is not so strong. And these communities as well are affected by the weakness of the grid. And we believe as we keep on scaling and if we get more support, like the one we got with Youth for Climate to scale this project, we're able to impact more households and more communities and bring them to be more resilient to the change in climate and to be able to grow their own livelihoods in the process. Thank you, and over to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Simbarashe. You have had it. If this does not motivate you, I don't know what else will motivate you. I'm actually thinking that I think we might actually need to run a survey amongst the Youth for Climate and figure out how many green jobs have been unlocked within the process. Thank you so much, Simbarashe. You mentioned about improving the resilience of community. You mentioned about renewable energy. You also touched on green skills, green jobs. I'm quite impressed. Thank you so much for the time that you're dedicating to capacitate young people. We really much appreciate your efforts. In case you're just joining us, it's not too late. The title of the webinar is called In Our Shoes, Learning from Youth Climate Innovators. I'm sure the name speaks for itself because we are actually learning from them. If you're not learning, please let me know, but I am learning. So last but not least, we are going to hear from Persis Ramirez, who is a water professional from the Dominican Republic, currently serving as an environmental program officer at Open Hydro. Persis leads projects that address critical water and environmental challenges with a master's in water sanitation and health engineering from the University of Leeds and a background in civil engineering. Persis has held key roles at organizations such as the International Water Association, IWA, and Global Water Partnership Caribbean. Her work has focused on implementing strategies, initiatives, coordinating high-impact events, and developing knowledge products in water and sanitation sectors. This is all about Persis' bio. I'm sure from her bio, you could be thinking, so is her project in line with water or hydrology? I also don't know. So I'm going to give Persis the platform to maybe give us a brief of your project and how has HydroStick project enhanced climate change adaptation in your community, particularly in schools? And how have you been working with other stakeholders to expand this initiative? Over to you, Persis.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Good day, everyone. I love this question, and of course, I'm going to answer it. But before, I wanted to provide more context of what my project, HydroStick, is about. So as Liz mentioned, my name is Persis. I am from the Dominican Republic, which is a small island developing state. And for a majority of people, when I mention the name of my home country, they usually picture very beautiful white sand beaches. But for us locals, the reality is a little bit more different. So I grew up experiencing climate disasters, and I remember vividly feeling powerless and confused whenever a hurricane or an earthquake hit. So when Youth for Climate launched its first call, I knew that I wanted to implement an inclusive and cognitively appropriate project that helped children in my community to feel empowered and prepared and be able to respond in case a climate disaster hit. So with the help of experts and local stakeholders, we are implementing disaster prevention mornings in 10 public schools of my community next month. We are targeting children from 7 to 13 years old, and we're gonna visit the schools. These visits include visual educational material, such as infographics, such as a video and a guide, but also we are going to donate to each school first aid kits and fire extinguishers. And during our visits, a team composed by a few local experts on emergencies would also provide guidance on the children. So now Lydia is helping me to show some of the few materials that we have developed as part of the iDrastic project. Now, on to the question. How have I been working with stakeholders? Well, the project is very intentional on its message, and because we wanted the community to feel empowered and reflected in every single deliverable, we made sure to engage with local stakeholders early on. We identified local expertise such as the National UNICEF Office, the Ministry of Education, the local Emergency Operations Center, and officers from the local fire station. And we share with them the drafted content of the educational materials to ensure that they felt included in the development of the project. It has been very useful for us to establish, not only establish, but also maintain this relationship as we get closer to the school visits. We have been engaging also with the schools, and in a similar manner, we made sure to explain exactly what we will do, what is our target audience, what they can expect, and how they can help. And logistics are very important because they can make or break your project. For example, one of the schools that we're going to visit is a special education center with close to half of its student body being composed by deaf or hard of hearing children. So we are paying special attention to them to ensure that we can have a sign language interpreter so the children are able to benefit from the visit as well. And within the iDrastic team, and by iDrastic team, I mean the subcontractors that have been developing the visual materials and have been, helping me with the deliverables of this project. We have made an equal intentional engagement, because when you work with children, fear-mongering is not really an option. So being climate disaster such as a scary topic, it needs to be approached from a positive lens. So I work with an amazing illustrator with whom I spend weeks discussing, the costumes of my community, how the children look, what do they do, how is their local environment, how their communities look. And at the end, we build characters, we build these very cute and sort of like animation, like cartoon characters that are appropriate and inviting for children. And now to respond to the second part of the question on how do I think the iDrastic project has enhanced climate change adaptation in my community? Well, I need to clarify that the implementation will take place in about 10 days, so from the 7th to the 11th of October. And we will visit 2 schools per day, and we hope to impact around 2,000 children from those 10 schools. I will report on what that meant for the children later on, but I believe that the project has made an impact so far in 2 very powerful ways. The first one is that one of the main messages that we have for children in the educational materials is that if you feel confused, if you are scared whenever a disaster happens, talk to your parents, talk to the adults, to the people around you, and discuss what happened. Why? Because mental health is incredibly important. And experiencing climate disasters can be traumatic or emotional scaring for children. So such a small inclusion has created an aha moment for most of the local authorities and local experts. And being mental health still a taboo topic in my country, I am happy to contribute positively towards it. And second and final enhancement that I think that the project has made is that it has made climate adaptation more inclusive and accessible to children. Typically, the communication or the discussion that goes around climate disaster is targeted to adults or decision makers. And not only that, we developed the project materials in Spanish. There's also Haitian Creole because we have Haitian migrants in the Dominican Republic, and their children also access the school. So we wanted to make sure that they were able to understand what the material that was provided as well. And we also have it in English. And we are also working on developing an archival webpage where all of the materials will be freely available, as well as instruction on how to replicate these school visits, how to downscale it or upscale the project. So everyone in any part of the world can get inspiration or even utilize the same resources to enhance climate adaptation in their own communities.
Thank you so much, Persis. Much appreciate the say. An informed community is a resilient community. We wish you all the best in the implementation phase of your project. And most of the people, when people hear about capacity building training, they just think it's small things, but you never know. It actually changes attitude, it changes behavior. And this is the impact that we are looking for as Youth for Climate. So thank you so much for that. And keep shining. All the best, Persis. So now we would love to hear from you. I've seen some questions that have been coming up, but these are quite a lot of messages. I haven't been checking the messages, but these are quite a lot of messages. And thanks to Lydia, who has managed to compile some of the questions for me so that I don't lose track. But before we do that, I'm just going to give this platform 2 minutes from Monica, 2 minutes from Shah. If you have any reflections about these initiatives that have been shared with us by the Youth for Climate awardees. So over to you if you would like to say anything. Maybe if you don't have some words of encouragement, I don't know, but yeah, I'm just giving you the platform to do so.
Shah, maybe over to you, then I'll speak.
All right. No, it's incredibly fascinating to hear about all these ideas and initiatives that you guys are taking. And honestly, it takes me back to the time when we were also like just starting out and brings back a lot of memories. And the best advice I can give you guys is that no matter what, don't give up. I would say that stick by it, because if you believe in it, if you believe in your actions, if you believe in the initiatives, in the purpose that you've taken, something good will happen at one time or another. So the trick is to stick by it no matter what. So yeah, that's from me. Monica, over to you.
Yeah, no, congratulations for the great job that you're doing. Is very inspiring, and I think is really needed that all of us get engaged in this type of actions to help our community. So I really value and I'm really proud to hear all your stories, all your work, because I know that is probably not easy to start, but we have to contribute with our little grain of sand. So I agree with Shah. It's a matter of consolidating those initiatives. Luckily, right now in this digital era, we have access to many resources, trainings. There are accelerators out there that can, help you perhaps refine the work that you're doing, measure the impact, being able to communicate very well what is the impact that you're generating. And I think it's a journey. It's a journey to keep practicing, reaching out to new investors or funders so that your initiatives have more sustainability. But keep up with the good job, with the good work, and congratulations is very inspiring.
Yeah, thank you so much, Monica and Shah. Congratulations is an understatement. Well done. So some of the questions that came through, I'm just going to read them. Someone said, is adaptation about generating implementable ideas and turning it into reality in a way that helps local people peacefully enjoy life without being struck by the impact of climate change? What about resilience? Is this the context? So I think I would ask Monica to or anyone else who is interested to respond to that one. The other questions were, thanks, Muna, for, I hope Muna is still with us. Yes, I can see her. For interesting project which will contribute to climate change in Yemen. So my question is, what advice would you give young people looking to, I've lost the question. Let me check it again. Okay, your messages are coming in too fast and I've lost the question. Okay, so this person is asking, what advice would you give to young people looking to implement similar initiatives? I would like to know if the flood initiative faced any sort of disinformation surrounding the implementation. I think this is for you, Persis. No, not for Persis, I'm not so sure. Just a minute. Let me load all the messages. And also, if you can read some of the messages, feel free to respond to them when I give you the opportunity to speak. Okay. Then some are basically comments, not questions really. Some are at school doing a similar research. And I think most of the people would love to know how they can start, would love to know more about your initiatives. And if you could share your LinkedIn profiles in the chat box so that people can follow your initiatives, I think that would be great. I think, and then there is a question from Sabato, is adaptation about generating, implementing ideas? I think I read this one. So if anyone wants to respond to any of the questions, please let me know whilst I try to dig some questions. Okay, someone said, I would like to know if the flood initiative faced any sort of disinformation surrounding its implementation, or this one is for Shah. So Shah, if you can respond to this one.
So this is actually a very important question. Thank you for asking this. So the main issue is this is a technology that has not been seen before in these rural areas. So there was always gonna be these issues regarding, what's that word called? There's always gonna be issues questioning its effectiveness, because like even when you're like purifying water, like from like the flood water itself or water from a pond, people will still question that, is the water actually drinkable? Just because it's transparent doesn't mean it's drinkable, because there are a lot of there are a lot of bacteria, there can be a lot of bacterial content as well as other contaminants in the water. So what we do is we actually conduct testing. We actually have TDS devices with us. So we do the testing on ground itself. So we show them the results and we drink the water ourselves as well, so that during the demo, so that they, at least we build that trust with them, know that this water is actually drinkable. So I also want to show you guys something which I wasn't able to. A few of you guys have also asked whether I could share like a sample of a photo of the device itself. So I'll share something that we're working on. So we're always curious about R&D and how to increase in effectiveness. So the current device, the automated device, it's a sturdy device which is used as a backpack or like as a jerry can, which might be a bit inconvenient to carry around for a lot of people. But what if I said that you could carry a water filtration plant on the palm of your hands? So this is something that we are developing right now. This basically fits on the palm of your hands and can convert up to 5,000 liters of flood water or surface water into drinking water. So we're always doing these testings. We're always doing this R&D to make our products better. And the issue on ground, the biggest challenges that we face is building that awareness and behavioral change, because it's not easy to shift from drinking water from traditional sources to a new source. So trust is extremely important. So we invest in building that trust with people, because that's our main goal. Because the product, no matter how fancy it is or how good it is, it won't work in communities if people don't trust it. So building trust is extremely important in building success for our projects on ground. So I hope I was able to answer that question.
Thank you so much. I think, Muna, are you there? I can read the question again. How could we implement a similar project of urban environment development planning for sustainable future in core housing projects. I would like to know if the flood, okay, that one was already answered. There is a question for you. Did you hear it?
Yes, I already typed in the
Okay.
yeah, I already answered if you want to repeat it.
No, it's okay if you have answered, but do you have anything else to say, Mona? We might not have time to come back to you again.
Okay, I always want to say for youth, I think there is a lot of opportunities in the internet that we can take advantage of it to build our capacities so that we can address also the real needs of the communities. So always we try to build our capacities to express what are the needs of the communities, because also it's not that easy to get fund for a project, and it's always a challenge. So always don't give up, and keep trying until you reach to your goal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Then Persis, I have a question for you. Someone says your project seems amazing, but they want to ask what strategies you have implemented to prepare communities, especially children, for climate-related disasters like fire, smoke, and how we can improve resilience in the face of these growing threats.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we rely very heavily on utilizing what resources already exist, but also adapting those resources to the needs of my local community. So I would advise you to go to trusted sources such as, the Sunday framework, and also look onto organizations that specialize on disaster risk management and disaster risk prevention, and then utilize this information as a base to build what you want to communicate, and make sure that is cognitively appropriate to the community that you want to send the message to. I don't know if I'm missing any part of the question, as it got cut, so I couldn't hear properly, but please let me know if there's anything else that I need to address.
Yeah, I think the question is basically asking about other disasters like wildfires. Do you have anything in place, etc.? So.
Yes, so for fire and smoke, so in the Dominican Republic, the fires that happen, there are natural wildfires that happen when, the heat points due to climate change reach certain temperatures. But also there are fires that happen because of other climate disasters. So because earthquakes take place, because hurricanes take place, there are fires that can come up. So what we did was to develop a visual guide for children to understand that whenever these fires happen that are more like domestic, to say it that way, how they can assess the situation. So we teach them that if there's a lot of smoke, they should crawl on the ground so the smoke doesn't go into their lungs. We teach them how to identify a safe way to exit the building. And we teach them who to call on what to do whenever that happens. If you're curious to know whether, I have more resources on what to do in case of wildfires, which are a little bit different than what happens when a domestic fire occurs, just let me know. I'll share my LinkedIn profile on the chat, and feel free to reach out. There's also a question that there's a person that is also working in a similar project, so please feel free to also reach out. The materials are going to be publicized at a later date, but so far we can have a conversation, and I can of course share with you some information. And if it's okay, Liz, there's another question that I wanted to answer.
Unfortunately, we are running out of time, unfortunately. So yeah, you could type it. I will give the last minute to Simba to give us your, I don't know, your parting words, or I'm not so sure if you saw any questions in the chat, but please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. I think I just want to encourage all the young people on the call to not stop working towards your dream, not stop working towards providing impact in your communities. I know it may take time. Sometimes it's difficult to access the financing. And also sometimes the whole process is very, tedious, doing all the documents and all the writing and the typing. But I think let your passion be what inspires you to keep resilient, because we cannot bring climate resilience in our communities if we ourselves are not resilient to step up and look for the solutions for us to actually bring the change that we want to see. So it's a word of encouragement. And for those who are new awardees, look forward for you guys joining us, what we'd call the alumni, and also just interacting and having a chat. Feel free to reach out to me whenever you can, and we'll be able to provide assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We really much appreciate the time you have taken to join us in this amazing discussion. I'm sure we have all learned one or two things. Those who are asking for the video, please subscribe on our YouTube channel, Youth for Climate. We normally do post the videos for the sessions there. And next month, we shall be engaging in a dialogue, as we are already now preparing for COP29 in Azerbaijan. So it's also another session not to miss, and another session, an opportunity to hear from the Youth for Climate awardees, who has so much information to share. This is the best platform to learn, to share, to ask, and we're looking forward to more of these good sessions. I just want to say thank you so much to the team that has been supporting, the Youth for Climate team, Lydia, Greta, Roxani. I can see Roxani Malak. Thank you so much for the work that you are doing, communicating, sending emails, scheduling meetings, much appreciate. And with that, this is a bye-bye from me. Till we meet again.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.